It's finally here. New voices, new faces. Welcome to the Pantheon.
What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. I am Enosh, and it is great to have you here in the lounge with us. Now, I'm going to tell you, we're going to start off real quick. I just got a couple of housekeeping things before we start this discussion. I'm very glad that we're able to have this discussion, and hopefully it's part of an ongoing discussion that we have regarding this case. We've been talking about it a long time, and I think it's important to see all sides of everything. But here's the thing. This is this has been a very hotly contested story, and all around. Ezra Miller has become a lightning bolt, no pun intended, given who he is, with the Flash, but a lightning bolt, a lightning rod, I should say, for a lot of negative press, a lot of negative views, and then there's people on the other side of that who are very pro Ezra. I remain exactly what I have been ever since the beginning. There's been no change. I have said from the very beginning, at the end of the day, if he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's innocent, he's innocent. I just want the truth to come out. I want the truth to be presented. I want the truth to be out there. Some have taken that as me defending him somehow. It is not me defending him. I don't need to defend Ezra Miller. Also, it is not me claiming his innocence because I don't know that. I have no information regarding that. I have taken a specific interest in this case because I think that there's a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of frustration. I feel like there's a lot of people who want information, and that's understandable. Whether or not, though, we are deserving of that information or not, is to be discussed, because we don't have the right to any kind of information regarding anyone, let alone celebrities. We just don't have that demand. There's stuff that we can absolutely want to know. And I understand that people want to know things. I want to know things, but I don't always get the information that I want either. So we are very blessed when someone comes forward and says, I want to talk about something. I want to share my side of the story on something, or maybe add some clarification from their point of view. And that's what we have today with Vintage.Devil, who will be joining us in just a second. I just want to set the ground rules for this. First of all, anybody watching this, listen, I'm not trying to ban you from the chat. I'm not trying to silence you from the chat. I have talked to my mods. And I know Stella is like somebody who's out there. There's people who like Stella, and there's people who don't like Stella. But you know what? I will give Stella this. I will give Stella the credit that, you know what? She knows what she knows, and she's firm on that, and she doesn't want any nonsense. And that's the type of people that we need for things like this. So I would tell you this. A couple people may feel like they've already had that. I've seen it in the chat already. A couple people may feel like they've already been you're not being targeted by me. Stella's probably got her eyes on you. A couple of mods probably got their eyes on you because of things said in the past. Okay. I will say this. There are a couple of people in there. We have had discussions, me and these people. We have tried to settle, disagreements that we've had, especially regarding this topic and other topics. So I want to put up front, because I've already seen it there. I'm not like anti-Matt Jarbo. Matt and I, we had a talk the other night, actually, and we were able to talk to each other, and we're putting that to bed. So this is nothing personal to anybody. I will say this. Because of the history of discussion or lack of discussion or aggressiveness regarding this topic towards me, towards the channel, towards others, we're just not gonna have a tolerance policy for this chat, right? It's not. You don't have this. You know, the chat is not American. The chat does not have the right of free speech. You can't just say anything that you want to in a chat. You don't. We reserve the right to go through that. Now, most of the time, I welcome. I let people say the craziest things in here. It's fine. You are allowed today. I want to just say you are allowed to have a differing opinion. If you don't like something that I've said, or you don't like a point that I have, that's fine. You can put that in the chat. Okay. You can disagree with Vintage. She is our guest. So I would hope that you would not be aggressive towards her. Right. Even if you disagree with something she says, or I disagree with something that she says, or whatever, we're going to be professional here. I'm going to be professional towards her if I disagree, or if I need to dig deeper for, some more information or whatever, because they are our guest, right? And that's what we want here. So if we come in with the false pretense of, there is a pinned comment up at the top that says, what it says from Stella, that we're just not going to put up with any nonsense. So that's just to let the people know who are really, far out there, who just want to spam or, whatever. You're not going to get your voice heard. You're not going to get your comment seen. It's going to get deleted, right? But then coming into the false pretense that like we're just trying to like ban everybody or keep everybody silent. That's not the way it is either. Okay. So just know that. That's my heart on the situation. That is how I feel about the topic, and that's where we're going to go today, right? Because it is a controversial subject, absolutely, and we just want to, we're going to handle this professionally. So we're just not going to have a bunch of nonsense. So I encourage you to share this video on your social media. I encourage you to try to get the word out about the discussion that we're having. And hopefully everything goes well. We have a good conversation. We have a good time. We get some clarification on some things. Who knows? Maybe we'll stir up some more things. But hey, it is what it is, right? So here at the end of the day, real quick, just a couple housekeeping things before I bring Vintage in. Zeno XXL. Did we drop you there for a minute, Zeno? I think maybe we might have dropped you, huh, buddy? But hey, I'm glad that you are back. Or are you celebrating? Yeah, okay. I think you bumped it up there for a second. So he's now at geek level. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate that, bud. And then we do have a super chat of 10 pounds from Lewis Cox. If you do have questions, if you need to get my attention, I don't normally say this, but like a super chat would probably be the best way to get my attention in all this, because there's probably going to be a lot of comments. That's not to say I won't read any questions that don't have super chats, but they go color coded on me so I can actually see that there's questions. But Lewis says here, hey Enosh, my pick for the Flash that at this point is Zac Efron. His WB Discoveries replaces Ezra Miller. Anyways, you sir are awesome. The lounge is awesome. We are all nerds here. Absolutely, Lewis. Thank you so much. I don't know about Zac Efron, but hey, you know what? I don't see a replacement for the Flash. This is the kind of statement right here that will get you bumped, because this is a lie. If you're going to pick apart what I said, that's not what I said at all. Anybody with half a brain would know that. I did not say that at all. I said if you have differing opinions in mind, this is where you need to actually listen to this conversation. I'm going to warn you all up front. Listen to the conversation with your ears, with your mind. Don't be bugged out doing something else or playing your video games or doing something else, right? Listen to the actual conversation. If you have a differing opinion, you are absolutely entitled to that, right? Absolutely. You can ask a question in the chat, right? That is fine. If you become aggressive towards me, my guest, or anyone associated with the lounge, you will be bumped. I cannot make it any more clear for you. Unless you're like 8 and you don't understand English, I think we're good. Okay. That being said, please welcome with me, everybody, the center of attention this last week. She's had a very interesting week, and that's to say the least. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the lounge, Vintage.Devil. Welcome.
Hi.
How are you? First of all,
Managing.
How are you holding up?
Pretty well.
Yeah, we kind of spoke in the back a little bit. You have had an interesting week
Yeah.
with everything that's come up. Um, but I think it's important just to ask you how you're doing, how you're holding up with your mental state and the attention that you've gotten, and I'm sure the aggressive. I'm sure there's people who supported you in what you're doing, but I'm also sure that you've gotten. I mean, it's the internet, so I'm sure you've gotten your fair share. How's that going?
Actually, not as much as one would think, to
Really?
be
Okay.
honest. Yeah. It's interesting.
Hey, that's great. They must all be over
Yeah.
here. They must all be over here. So I don't know. Um, so you for those who don't know, I want to set kind of the table. I don't want to just go into this because there's going to be a lot of people who are watching this who probably they haven't followed the story as deeply. They're not aware of every little thing that's happened or whatever. Um, Share with us just a little bit how you're with what you're able to how you're connected to this, how you got it. Kind of take us on a timeline. I've got some of these, you've posted a lot of DMs and things. We can go through some of those, but I just like to hear from you, like how you got into this situation, how you were in a position to make the accusations that ended up coming out, against Ezra, and then, how you ended up retracting those, and kind of where it's brought to you now.
So I've had my own issues actually with Ezra in the past for a few years now.
Okay.
So in 2020, somebody reached out to me on Instagram and was telling me about Mia. And that's when I reached out to Mia, and then it was Chase because of the fact that Ezra was there on the res in 2020.
Okay.
And pretty much from there, like, that's when it actually started. I spoke to Chase on the phone about what Mia had told me. And Chase had stated he had no red flags or like bad feelings about Ezra up until the choking incident where he lost trust. So then, like, fast forward to this year, because I did think it was odd he would say that, but then, hang around Ezra late 2021 and early this year. So I reached out to Chase again, I believe in May, just because I had also had some strange contact happening.
And
where
just for our viewers' sake, Mia is the young lady who a couple of months ago, for everyone watching, came out and she posted some things about Ezra, some negative things about Ezra and their relationship, right? And that's their relationship. That's, whatever that was. And then Chase is. You want to tell everybody who Chase is?
Gibson, aka Takata Iron Eye's father.
Yeah. So he's the one who's brought this lawsuit now against Ezra, and has kind of run with these claims that was all we knew, right? Was that there were these claims that he had been grooming Takata Gibson for all these years since she was 12 years old. Was the accusation that he had been that he had taken Gibson alone out of the country and all these weird, things that came out that didn't make a lot of sense. And then you just this last week came forward and shared DMs that you had with Chase that it was you who provided that information to Chase.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess my question, you're having these conversations with Chase. What leads you to, like, I mean, because I think the elephant in the room, right, is people are like, well, that's an awful thing to do. So so what leads you to share something like that with Chase?
I mean, at the time, I believed Mia, because there was just other stories about not so much the grooming, but just how the polycule worked, and people were fighting for, attention, and it seemed like after, like, she said that she wanted to lure Ezra to her to gather more evidence for things like the giving her money and like basically, I'm not really sure because she said that he was never really physical or threatened or anything like that and would only send me photos of the bite marks. But at the time, I still took it negatively just because I believe victims. So when she came out with the video this year or, you know, earlier and continued to send me photos of like bite marks and stuff, but didn't say anything else. And when I tried to connect her to other victims, as she said she wanted to reach out to more, she denied it. And Business Insider wanted to talk to her, and she said, "Nah, I'm good." I was just very curious to why you would deny that or not reach out to other victims, as you stated. And then Oliver made this testimony that actually matched something she told me in 2020, but it was like reversed. And I was like, no fucking way. So at that moment, I was just like, I don't know who to believe, but it was too late. I already had sent Chase like the screenshots. And then it matched to what they were saying about in January, Gibson doing drugs. I was like, oh, but that's what I said. That's what Mia told me, and that's what I sent to Chase. So I was just like, holy shit. And then there's the incident where Gibson was in college and dropped out, and a friend died. And I was like, it sounds like there was a spiral that happened there, and it's being blamed on Ezra. And how it's going is what I was telling them, they're running with it. Because in May, somebody who was also with Chase at the time DM'd me on Instagram and was telling me about how, you know, they had an altercation with Ezra. And I was just like, kind of curious as to why you came to me instead of like the authorities or the police or like the media at that time. This was way before that. And I was just like, they said, oh, Chase said you could help. I was like, with what? And then she started grilling me and being really rude. And I was kind of like on her side. I was curious as to like where her gimmick was. And then she blocked me. So, and she unsent her messages about the altercation, and it contradicts what she had told me in the article a little bit.
Okay.
So when I
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just like there was so many things that didn't add up or match. And I recall like the conversation with Chase in 2020, and then, you know, the photos he would post and the photos that was posted of the family and all that, and everybody looked like they were on good terms up until it seems like Gibson has this rebellious streak right now, and he just wants to get control back. And that's when the transphobia remarks, like I've been hearing about that for weeks. And then I had an incident where I did experience transphobia from one of the people on Chase's side. So at this point, it's just like, I don't know exactly what had happened, but I will say the grooming remarks was implanted in Chase by me through Mia, and it's just, there was no proof of it from my side at all.
So you felt that when you shared that information, that they just kind of ran with that they were using you as the source for that. And that's, and I got some of these up here, and we can kind of go through some of this, but this is kind of right here. This is your original message, it looks like, to Chase, where you say, hello, Chase. He says, hello, how are you? I have information. And you had the original that says, and we're just going to read this verbatim so people can get mad at me, whatever, for using language. People give me a hard time sometimes, Vintage, if I ever say anything, because people know I'm a pastor. I'm not naive, and I'm not like weird about that. But people like, so look, if there's anybody watching this, you have a problem with language, I'm sorry, but we're going to read this the way it is, because it is. But it says here, yep. Immediately what I thought of, no fucking way. Takata is in trouble. Ezra is definitely fucking her and has known her since she was 12. I know. They're starting a clothing line together. What, like, right? So this was your conversation between you and Mia.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're the one in the blue.
Yeah.
Okay, so this statement right here that Ezra is definitely fucking her and has known her since she was 12. What did you mean by that when you were having this conversation? That it was happening since she was 12 or he was 12? I mean, I know that, there's been this change now between Takata and Gibson. So we're very aware of that for anybody else watching. We're very aware of that, but it's going to slip between both. I'm
Right.
sure
Yeah.
So just
Sorry.
understand that. No, it's just because there's always people who will, they're going to make that an issue instead of like what we're actually talking about. So, what was your insinuation there?
It was from a video, I believe, Takata had on their page where Ezra was climbing up on something. And I was just like, why are they hanging out together all the time? And it was just weird to me
Mm-hmm.
because it's very sudden, actually, because I've never really seen them around this much. But then I was just like, well, Ezra was going through women a lot, like a lot. Like there was a few girls I've noticed. So at the time, I kind of just assumed because it was in their nature,
Mm-hmm.
especially with this polycule stuff. So it was based off of that, honestly.
Okay. But did you believe that at the time that he had been having a sexual relationship with Gibson from a young age?
No, not at a
No.
young age. No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So was this more of after Gibson had turned 18 then?
Yeah, to be honest.
Okay. I just want to make that clear because I know a lot of the concern, and it's my concern as well, is that um, is the nature of that relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it one of before Gibson was of legal age? Because let's be honest, if we're being honest, look, once somebody's 18, they're 18. They're an adult. As a dad myself, I've had to come to that own place with one boy who's now almost 20. He'll be 20 this month. When they're 18, they're 18. They're grown adults. You don't have that that control as you do before they are. And also the legal ramifications of this is what's important because the accusations are heavy. And so to say that to know the difference between whether or not there were sexual relations going on before 18 or after 18. So you're saying that you didn't think that there were any sexual contact before 18.
No, that would just no.
Okay. I just want to make that clear for for everybody watching because I know that has been
A thing that's been said, yeah, and
yeah.
that's the part that's just like, are you sure?
Yeah. So this was your original Instagram post, and here you say, I was the one that told Chase Iron Eyes that Dakota Iron Eyes Gibson was being groomed. It was based on lies and speculation, and I have no proof. My only intention was to destroy Ezra Miller. I fucking lied. And then you hashtag Dakota. So you say here, my only intention was to destroy Ezra. So you were angry at Ezra.
Oh yeah, definitely. For
Okay.
years.
Okay. Can you are you able to elaborate on that any? I mean, I know it's your personal relationship with him, or with them. I mean, can you kind of help us understand why you would get to a point like where you would say something like, because that's let's be honest. I mean, and this isn't to attack you or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty messed up thing to
Yeah.
insinuate. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I for a long time, like I was trying to tell my story, which I won't get into,
Sure.
because I've been through it. For a long time, I was going through some things where nobody would believe me, and I would have all this proof, and I was getting attacked relentlessly, especially by fans, stalked. Even I got a reputation as like, you know, just a horrible person when in reality I just wanted my own answers. So when I wasn't getting that, I was just getting angrier. And I was kind of like doing everything I could to prove like this person was horrible, but I really didn't have much aside from my own experience, which has been solved, and I understand the intentions behind everything now. So as I settled down, I've realized I've caused a fucking mess.
Sure. Sure. Um, yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing. It has caused mess. It's caused a lot of questions, and it's caused a lot of allegation towards Ezra, and a lot of people are upset, and understandably, because if that's happening to a child,
Hmm.
it's absolutely disgusting,
Right.
and that needs to be handled with the law. The police should be called. The police should have been involved from a long time ago if that was happening. Now,
Right.
so can you help me and everyone watching understand a little bit also, if the relationship between Ezra and Gibson wasn't sexual, what type of because look, everybody's like, and I see even a couple people in the chat, it's like, well, Ezra formed a relationship, a grown man formed a relationship with a 12-year-old, right? That's a red flag. Can you elaborate, like, what kind of relationship with that? Because I think that we just throw the word relationship around. Like, there's many kids that I mentor, that I have relationships with, that I help, that I encourage,
Right.
and that's not weird. It's not strange for an adult to have just a relationship. You got to talk about what the nature of that relationship is, right? Like,
Right.
what are you doing in the contents of that relationship? Because if you're doing something inappropriate, like I said, sexual, or in any way anything other than, I don't know, being a mentor to somebody. And I think some people may look at Ezra and think, because he's a strange cat. Let's be honest. He comes across as weird to some people. That, like, maybe, like, what could he possibly have to offer, a 12-year-old, as far as, anything other than that. Because of who he is. And let's be honest. There's also there is a stigma on people of the LGBTQ community,
Hmm.
people who are, people who have non-traditional, um, sexual, you know, things going on in their life, right? That maybe they would be aggressive towards children or something like that. Can you help us understand, from your point of view, from being around that, what was the nature of that relationship?
So Ezra actually knew Chase for a very long time, and was doing like work with him. I believe he helped pay for getting their land back or something. There's a whole article about it. So he's been around him for a while. But he was also like doing it with his friends like Soul Guy and Rafe, as I posted on my Instagram. So they went to Standing Rock, and that's when they all kind of met Takata and that family. So it was basically through like Standing Rock and the protests and like you know, I guess charity in a way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's always kind of been like that. Like there's even older stuff where they came here to New York for a protest, and then other kids traveled to sets of Fantastic Beasts, and there's photos of Ezra going to schools as well, which makes sense
Mm-hmm.
because they were doing promos for Fantastic Beasts. So it was like stuff like that. It was not really like alone time and just like for leisure. It was always for activism or for like work.
Okay. Well, I mean that so look, and I want to make very clear to everybody watching, like, Vintage is our guest today, and I'm grateful to have her here and to explain from her side of things. She's obviously a lot closer than any of us are to this, but even so, like, I can't vouch for everything Vintage says,
Mm-hmm.
just as I can't vouch for anything anybody else says, right? So you can take what she says today either at face value for what it is, You can take it and then say, well, you need more, you know, that's fine. Like I said from the beginning, Vintage, I just don't want anybody being derogatory, you know. I don't want anybody being attacking and whatnot. But I think that the way you just said that, I mean, if that's the case, that's understandable to me, at
Right.
least. Because I know plenty of people who do. I understand that there may be people who that's not good enough for them. But if you're saying that the relationship that he had with Takata, obviously the problem, I think, do you think that the problem is maybe the first that we're hearing of some of this stuff that it was already painted in a negative light, and so people just automatically kind of go there?
Yeah, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because once you learn that they've known each other since Takata was 12, people just jump to conclusions. But it was like there's photos I've even posted where there's multiple people, like even on Ezra's friends and team, that was also there meeting Takata at the same time, spending same amount of time, and Shailene Woodley, all of that.
Okay.
There was always like photo, like I've been around for years, so I've always seen this, and it was never like truly leisure up until I want to say more so like recently, but they were also recording music together. So
Okay. Well, and that's another aspect of this too. Like Ezra's involved in a lot of different things. People just think, well, he's the Flash. He's in Fantastic Beasts. He's an actor, but he's also a musician. He's involved in things. So Gibson was also is Gibson also a musician?
um allegedly they have like music out, yeah.
Okay, okay, but you haven't heard that.
I have. It was like the thing that leaked with the Rolling Stones
Hmm.
with that producer Oliver.
Okay. Yeah, because that was the thing that they had been working together. I know Oliver had his own falling out with Ezra, but if I remember right, kind of substantiated the idea that you know there really wasn't this negative uh, kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, it was just the timing. It kind of like dogpiled, if that's what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now, how does that make you feel? I mean, look, and I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to make you feel bad about it. I'm just trying to get a kind of a better understanding myself because I know how I would feel like if I said something, especially if I concocted a lie and said it and then it just blew up this way. Uh, how are you feeling about that?
Not really that great.
Yeah.
Like not at all. That's why I honestly I couldn't stay silent because that's just like no.
Yeah. Yeah. So here is here's this next slide. It says, "Big thanks for the heads up." Chase says, "As always, no problem. Tragic times right now." It says, "I'm so sorry. I really am. This is why I came to you directly. I've been trying very hard for a long time to warn people." And then I think that this is the next one. You're talking about, so Chase only thought about Ezra that way because you showed him the DMs between Mia and you. Also, Mia was lying. Now, who is this between this conversation right here?
A friend,
Okay.
somebody also close to uh Ezra.
Okay. And this, it appears, is when you realized how big this was, what, blowing up, and
Yeah, and I kind of to start to piece things together.
you say here how to let him know that it's all a ghastly mistake based on a lie. His daughter is innocent. Ezra is innocent, and and then this person says, "We need to let people know I lied. I will take the fall." So, so
Yeah, because I know Mia wasn't gonna tell me anything else.
yeah. So I'm
So,
guessing is that relationship kind of severed now?
in my opinion, yeah, I don't like feeling like I started a takedown of somebody's life
Mm-hmm.
because of somebody else's wants with another person, and it didn't work out.
Um. So at this point, you've admitted to things. Now, I do want to bring up what I know it got timed out, and I apologize, RJ. I appreciate. Can I just say Stella has a hard job in today. So I would like to point out that Stella's kind of our lead mod on this, and so don't don't get upset. Stella is not necessarily privy to all information. I've you know I've tried to let Stella know some things. I did have a conversation with a couple of people who had some issues the other day, but I do want to bring up a comment if I can find it again that he made that got timed out. And I'm sorry, RJ, that it got timed out. Okay, so you've told Chase this now, okay?
Mhm.
And how did Chase react to you when you came back and you said, "Look, this wasn't the truth"?
He left me on scene. Didn't block me though. Weird.
So you haven't been able to talk to him at all
No, I
about
mean,
this.
no. I'm kind of scared.
Hmm. That's
I mean, I tagged him in posts. That's
sure.
about it.
Yeah, I mean we've seen, I'm trying to go through some of the posts here to just kind of pick out the stuff that's like, relevant. Okay, so this one I think is the one that points that out. It says
I
no
do want
clue.
to say there is somebody else helping behind the scenes to talk to Chase about this.
Okay.
So it's not like he isn't aware. It's just I don't think I should be the person right now.
Sure. Sure. So there's somebody else who is trying to speak with Chase.
Yes.
Okay. And do you know if they have had any luck with that or
Not too sure yet.
okay. All right.
Because only I told him about the fact that I lied a few days ago, and only yesterday did he see my message. So I'm not too sure what's actually going on.
Okay. So I got this too. You could tell me if this is part of that. So somebody's here said that under Red Army.
Yeah, this is somebody who's under Takata's post talking about hunting Ezra and like making threats.
Yeah. So it says, I will destroy Ezra. Don't worry, and you won't do shit about it. Mark my words. And the other person says, may the best bitch win then. Says, I'm a guy, a war child, military training since the age of 13. Please. I have avid training in recon. That's why we defeated a government. I've seen it all since 13. Don't worry. Fear is the last thing in my blood. I will find Ezra. And somebody says, I spoke with Takata on the phone in May. That's okay. I'm not colonized. Don't worry about pronouns. None of that colonial stuff. And it says, since when was being trans and queer colonized? Are you serious? 100%. No wonder they ran away. And then it says, why? I guess I have eyes all over for the sake of Takata's safety. Their name is Gibson. You all won't even respect their identity or pronouns. I spoke with Takata on the phone in May. That's okay. I'm not colonized. I don't worry about pronoun stuff, all that colonial stuff. So is this the kind of stuff that that they're going through right now? I mean, people are like, we can't find them, whatnot. Is this why you think that this is happening?
Yeah, definitely heavy on that.
So,
I've even seen some of the Facebook posts. They're definitely alarming.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand the idea of child endangerment. Okay, as far as grooming children, things like that. That's a serious thing. So I understand people taking a serious tone with that. I don't necessarily think that people should take things in their own hands. I mean, look, if you have to defend a child, you have to defend a child. Within the act. But as far as taking that in your own hands and hunting people, that's just not how the legal system works. And unfortunately, I think people are forgetting how the legal system works, that people are to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And we have to allow that time to come. So here I found RJ's question, and I'm wondering if maybe you can speak this. Says, I'm still puzzled that a self-respected lawyer Which, look, I will say this, RJ, lawyers literally that's their job, man. Like, their job is they're paid to lie. So I mean, self-respected lawyer. I got a lot of lawyer friends. You know, they're fine, they're whatever, but it is what it is. But would potentially jump this far to a conclusion based on Instagram DMs because that's a huge risk to his career credibility as a legal professional. What would you say, Vintage, is why you think that he would do that? I mean, like your relationship with them. I mean, you know, do you feel that you just had that kind of credibility with them that they would just take that, or do you think that they're getting this from any other source as well?
I feel like it's mainly me because I'm still puzzled as to why they would reach out to me in May saying that I could help.
Mm-hmm.
How could I help? I don't have anything. And then they were upset with me. I wasn't too sure. So that's why I was like, I had to be the only person that they could come to for evidence, because also the claims in their little thing about the climbing into bed at age 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you just learn about that in June 2022? But it happened 4 years ago, but you want to tell the parents now. And then the chaperone lady that told them that also created a hate account for Ezra using my tweets about Mia. So that's in my head. I it doesn't make any sense. But also, upon other people also on the res telling me Chase is shady, which I've posted. There's also things about Chase like stealing elections and like doing other things that question that credibility and accountability of him as like a lawyer, to be honest.
Yeah. Let me see. Now I'm on your Instagram. I know that you have. Okay, so this is something. I mean, I want to point clear. Like I don't know anything about this, obviously personally, but you shared this on your Instagram, and you know, does this it looks like there's some other kind of things that have gone on with Chase. You know, saying that he's a respected lawyer or business. You know, like I don't know anything about the guy personally, so I can't speak to his character. I mean, but you having your connection there, what would you say is what is your opinion of Chase's character in general?
To be honest, like I have been hearing about how that family was shady for a while. And when I told, actually, I haven't mentioned this yet, when James Iron Eyes um, set me up in 2017 to try and get me in trouble, and I approached him, he blocked me. So that was another red flag that, something strange was happening there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I learned that James was in direct relation to Chase, and then I was hearing about how that family was shady through other people's comments on Facebook, actually, prior to me even really reaching out to Chase, because, I do a little bit of research leisurely. Um, People were saying like, oh, like he steals elections. He was shady. There was a fake powwow where there was money taken and like people were offended by it, and just other things that were just questionable. So, when something like this comes out, I question where they get their evidence from and why they didn't speak sooner. But they speak now when there's a instance where there's a conservatorship happening and it's money involved. Mm-hmm. And control. It's just strange.
So do you think that that's the cause of this? I mean, like there has been talk about just about the fact that they don't seem to be happy with the aspect of Takata going through this change to become Gibson.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's a big deal to them?
Yeah, because I've also noticed Takata had started to go by Gibson kind of like late 2021, maybe mid 2021.
Okay.
Through like Instagram, I've noticed that account. So, upon reading what they would say about like Takata on Twitter, and then what they said you know, in the article, it's still not respecting that their name after they had mentioned that they wanted to go by that and that they were they them.
Do you know if they have like any I mean, like I know there's people in the religious community, for example, that they're going to have issue with topics like that, right? Like I run into people like that all the time, who are just very derogatory or negative about that. I mean, the last message that we just read there from whoever it was who was going to go after, was saying they were going to go after Ezra and hunt him down. They had all this military experience, whatever. Uh, do you feel that the Ironside family, that they are like very anti LGBTQ, ideas and relationships, or is it just because it's their daughter?
I think it's just because it's their daughter, to be honest.
That it's just hitting home for them, for example.
Yeah, it's not something that they wanted. I think what they wanted was like next Greta Thunberg or whatever. It was a lot of activism and stuff like that, and Takata meeting celebrities at a young age consistently. So, once it stops, it's also stopping a lot of money and opportunities.
So talk about that, for example, because like there's a lot of people talk about the activism, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of things has Chase and his family and Takata and things, what kind of activism have they been involved in that has led to Takata being able to meet these celebrities? Because I know there's people in the chat right now who are talking about, like it's never a good idea for a celebrity or grown adult to be hanging out with a minor. But I think that's and I'll say this, I'll bring it up, Ibrahim. I get what you're saying here, but I think that's a very generalized statement. And that's the problem. It's a very generalized statement because adults and children are going to interact. You have people who are going to interact on several different levels. Just because there's interaction between an adult and a child, like, and you say hanging out, that can mean a lot of different things, right? Like I get it. There are a lot of opportunities that predators have with children, but there's also a lot of things. There's community groups that work in their communities. I mean, I know that, for example, this is a Native American community, and Native American communities are generally very tightly knit. But I know, like, even in the town the city that I live in, there are many community groups that are consisted of adults and, teens and things that they work together. There's work groups. There's just all kinds of different things like that. I think like the hanging out thing is like a sticking point for people, but can you elaborate a little bit more of like what kind, or do you know what kind of activism they're involved in?
Yeah, it was something like the water, protecting the water pipelines, stuff like that, and environmental.
Okay. And that led her to meeting Ezra.
Yeah. Ezra and their friends participated in the Standing Rock and pipeline protest stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And as far as there has not been this what people have assumed. I just want to drive this point home from your point of view. There come the police right now. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're on their way. But as far as there's not yeah, that's fine. You can answer when it's done. As far as though, I just want to really drive this point home from your point of view, at least. I mean, whether people believe it or not, that's up to them. But from your point of view, you have not seen this kind of like just hanging out, just like inappropriate being, of Ezra being with Gibson or young people in a way that could be construed anyway as negative or grooming or sexual or just inappropriate in any way, that other than this activism, this being with the whole family, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I have nothing on that.
Okay. Can you also, because I know she went out of the country, and my statement on this was that like, if like I know with my three boys, I would never let somebody that I felt was dangerous or had done anything, or had the potential of danger to my children, or just because they're a celebrity, I don't care. I I would not let them go be alone with somebody, let alone go out of state, let alone out of country. Can you elaborate for people maybe who are just coming into this, maybe they just don't know what the circumstances were around of Takata going to London with Ezra? Because I've seen it like that wasn't really just like that she went with Ezra, they were with a group. But can you
Yeah,
share
that was
what you
during
know
like
about
a
that?
Fantastic Beast press. And that's also mentioned too in their what do you call it? Their protective order thing. They mentioned that at the bottom of it.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are talking about that like it's like that, like he just like carried her away off to London. Is that
Yeah, that's
is that in any way an accurate description of what happened?
yeah.
So that he just so you're saying that he did
No, no,
just
no.
carry? Yeah.
It's inaccurate. Yeah, it's like no. It was a group trip. It was multiple people there, multiple families actually.
Okay.
So
Yeah. All
it's
right.
not like one flying out chilling. Definitely not.
Well, yeah, because that's what a lot of people are kind of trying to make it out to be.
Right, and that's where I think it is misconstrued
Yeah, that there's
big
like,
time.
yeah, well, and that's, and look, if that was happening, that's kind of weird, but that's also like a kidnapping thing, I mean, like,
Right, and why
so,
wouldn't they alert the authorities or somebody then? It's just weird.
yeah, that's a rather, it's just a rather strange thing. I know something that you alluded to earlier at the beginning, that somebody brought back up, and again, I am absolutely willing if somebody has specific questions that you would like, us to touch on, I will try to get to them. But you briefly touched on the choking incident because the choking incident seems to be a sticking point for a lot of people. Uh, it's a 1 second clip. It's hard to tell what happened there, and nothing has ever come of it. Do you have any knowledge of what that was?
From what I have heard and what I saw on Reddit, that there was an altercation where people were following and harassing Ezra. And of course, intoxicated, I guess that they tried to defend themselves. That's what I've heard. That's what I've seen other people comment. People were saying that that group was annoying. Other people at the bar came out and said that. But also, Ezra was unpleasant. So
Okay, so your information from that is also based on the Reddit information, the stuff that's been out there already. You don't have any
yeah,
personal knowledge of that.
because the another person on Twitter who had a run-in with Ezra sent me that article before it actually blew up. So that's when I posted. I actually tweeted the video until I was taken down. My account was deleted.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they had said that they had met Ezra in, like, they were like going through something. They were rude, but there are other Iceland people who said that they were just very argumentative. They weren't really like crazy as people were trying to say, and that the people that were hanging out with Ezra also mentioned that it seemed out of character, the choking. So that's all I had to go by.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that's a huge. There's a lot of these incidents that have obviously piled up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My view on it has been to try to decipher and not jump to conclusions based on the amount of allegations or whatever, or accusations, that come out, but to see what's actually a thing and what's not,
Right.
and then get there. Now, for a lot of people, it's this thing of, Ezra hasn't spoken, you know, um, obviously you're coming out now, with what and it would be great if we heard some more things. What are your feelings on Ezra speaking up at this point? I mean, do you think that would be a good thing, or do you think that he should remain silent until the court case? Somebody asked about this, about like going to the police. If I could bring it up here. Somebody addressed you and said, why is this lady not going to the police? She seems more interested in anonymous interviews. If Ezra is innocent, why has he vanished? Should he not face his accusers?
Why am I not going to the police? What can I do? And I'm not really anonymous. It's probably vanished because of the threats. If I'm being realistic.
Yeah.
It seems like it's actually been a thing that's been ongoing as well. Not just like not referring to the KKK thing, but there was an instance where I think they were on the run because they were receiving fake threats. So,
Have you tried to reach out to anybody? I mean, because this is obviously now a legal case, right? I mean, for those who don't know, there's a date in July now. What is it? July, was it 12th or 13th or something like that? Uh, that this is going to be heard. And I'm sure that at this point, Ezra has a legal team that is looking into handling it, right? But given that, with your side of this, as far as like what you know, and you can stop me if you can't answer this, just say whatever. Have you tried to reach out to any kind of authorities or anything in the legal aspect of that besides posting it on Instagram or talking to outlets, to try to state your side of this and show them. I mean, I'm sure there's, I think sometimes we take it for granted that everybody sees everything. And I'm sure that, look, a lot of this is out there with Vintage coming out there and stating some of this stuff, but you never know what's being missed. But have you tried to reach out to anybody besides Instagram and others?
The authorities know, but I'm wondering how I could go about that.
Okay. I mean, you could probably reach the court system, and if you had a hard time doing that, I'm sure we could, I mean, if that would be something you'd be interested in doing, to
deeply, yeah,
because you would be, you have information regarding the case, and if Chase is not getting back to you or has kind of cut you out, left you on
scene,
yeah, that may look. There's a lot of different scenarios that could be. That could be that he's upset about it. Maybe they're in too deep at this point, and they're just going to go with what they have. But if you have information to the contrary, and they're not willing to hear it, to be able to contact, the people involved, find out who's involved, that you could reach out to and just say, hey, look, this is the information that I have. I have the DMs. I have, because you have the originals, right? Still, you have all that stuff. I know somebody was asking you on the stream that you were on the other night on KDots, which, by the way, they did a fine job, talking with that panel and everything. But I know some of the questions that kind of came up a couple times were, could you show those original DM,
videos, right?
Videos, yeah, and all that stuff, right? But obviously, you were on your phone, you didn't have access to be able to do that. But if you have all that stuff, I'm sure that legally, I think that it would be the important thing to come forward with that, because if somebody has an opposite side that they're still trying to push this narrative that he did these things and you have evidence to the contrary, I would say that would be something that you would need to do. Actually, I mean, I think that would probably be the right thing to do, and probably be better on your aspect as far as people looking at you and your validity, like of what you're saying. People say, well, hey, look, she's willing to go to the authorities with this. She's willing to present this evidence, and I would think that would be very important evidence that the court would want to examine.
Right, I agree.
So, I mean, if that's something that you're interested in, and
1,000%. This is the first time I'm getting this idea. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we can help you in any way, I'll absolutely. I have friends who have been in legal and whatnot. And I have a couple attorney friends too that maybe we can help you. Just do some investigation and see how you can get this information out there.
Right.
I mean, because look, at the end of the day, everybody. Like I understand that people have formed their opinions, because that's just the the court of public opinion, right? Like people, they see things, they form those opinions. But I mean, just hearing you say that, hey, yeah, I'm willing to look into that. I think that's a great step to show something about, what you're saying, and that you're serious about that.
Yeah, I'm definitely serious, to be honest.
Yeah. Um, so I guess, I mean, at this point, right? So all this is out. You've said these things, but you've come out. Where do you, in your personal opinion, like where do you see things going? How much can you maybe talk about where you see how you see this thing going?
The outcome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always wondered. I was kind of hoping like maybe it would be dropped because a conservatorship would just be horrible in all honesty. And if that were to happen, Gibson doesn't get a voice and is basically silenced and won't get to experience actual adulthood. And I think that itself is terrifying. Was hoping that if they, see what I can provide for them, they'll just maybe listen to them. But I think they're also in so deep now that they don't want to back out.
Hmm.
And I was hoping that they would drop like the court case itself because I'm not proof. You can't use me as proof. And on that Instagram account, it just used my tweets and what Mia said and Mia's encounter as proof that Ezra is an abuser. And then it doesn't add up to me. So I'm not too sure what their plan is now, knowing what I've said and what I plan on doing. But I'm wishing that it gets resolved without it going to court.
Yeah. What now? I don't want to get into your personal relationship with Ezra or anything like that, but you've shared that you've had your own personal issues with Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's well established. So it's not like I don't get the feeling from you like you that you're coming from a place like you just wanted to get off scot free for whatever, you know. It seems that way. I mean, do you? I'm trying to think of how to put this because I want to be mindful of your personal experience. But with this, you've had your own personal issues with Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that speaks even more to the fact that you're willing to come out here, basically throw yourself to the wolves?
Yeah,
You know.
honestly, like if me of all people saying this, me of all people, I feel like because they weren't listening to me when I was saying the negative things. Now I'm trying to be, I guess, neutral or more positive, like equal. I'm trying to be fair. And if I'm trying to do that to somebody that I had such an issue with for years, then that's saying something, in all honesty.
Yeah. I mean, you've definitely put yourself out there, Vintage. Good or bad. you
Yeah.
know, uh, on a more lighthearted note, somebody asked, "Is this interview from the guy's toy shop?" No, this is listen. The Poindexter Lounge. We deal with serious topics when we need to. We deal with stuff that talks about pop culture and movies and TV shows and things like that. We talk about that stuff all the time. But if you're new here, one of the things that this is my toy room. This is my office. I've been collecting toys for 22 years, so I get that, like, you see this, this all these toys and everything behind me, and you're like, like, dang, you're talking about this serious thing in this environment. This is where I do my show from. This is where usually we're trying to talk about lighthearted stuff. We're trying to have these, fun conversations, and we're nerding out over different things. But this has been a serious topic, and yes, I had a conversation with Ezra online before all of this stuff started, and so kind of put us in a position to when this stuff started happening. People started questioning me about a lot of stuff, and a lot of assumptions were made about stuff that people think I know that I don't know, and whatnot. But I've never talked to Vintage before, right?
Right. This is our first conversation.
Yeah, this is our first conversation. I've never talked to her before. My only knowledge of any of this that you've said are things that people shared with me. She's been talking to people about this, trying to get her side of this out, because if you're joining us late, Vintage.Devil here is the one who came forward, and she was the one who told Chase, the father of Gibson, the center of all this controversy, that Ezra had been grooming her. And from Vintage's own words and the DMs that we've seen, she's come forward and said that wasn't true, that she was saying those things out of her own anger over other circumstances, over other issues. And so that's what's kind of led to this. And so we want to be able to have these kind of conversations with people. It's not, and I put this disclaimer at the beginning for those of you who are joining us now later. Just know, I am not speaking for the validity of everything Vintage says. I'm giving her an opportunity to speak her mind, to share her story, and you can agree with it. You can not agree with it. I think we all have to process it and, be like, what do we feel, has gone on here? Go through those things. I know one step here says, don't let her feign litigious ignorance here. My guess is you mean like how to get this information out. I mean, I don't know. You say that you hadn't even really given any thought to.
Yeah, everybody's been telling me to go to the media. Not so much like the courts. So that's what I've been trying to do. That's why I was doing podcasts and stuff. I'm not really too good at like reaching out to TMZ. They tend to ignore me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the first time somebody's mentioned taking it to the court. So that is actually going to be my next step. Yeah, definitely doing that.
Yeah. So, so hey, man, if anything, look, for those of you wondering like why we get it, it's because this is something that this is something that's involved with things that we like. These people involved in things that we like, and as this is a story. This is absolutely a story that has gone on, and look, if we can help out in any way to help bring about truth, and that's the biggest thing is truth. Like I said,
Right.
I can't attest for what somebody else's truth, right? I didn't have her swear on a Bible before she, before you came on and everything like that. But look, if Vintage is willing to take it to, to the authorities and share what she has, and see if they want to use that, I'm sure that they'll put her in contact with the proper people that can help her with that. And look, if she's willing to do that, there will be if they decide to use it, there would absolutely be a time when that would be called into question. Her truth would be called into question. So I think that I don't understand why we don't follow just kind of the natural order of hearing all the information before we act out. It's kind of sad sometimes, I feel. But is there anything more that we just haven't covered that that you feel like that needs to be talked about?
Oh yeah, actually, when you mentioned toys, it kind of reminded me of why me and Mia jumped to that conclusion of the grooming thing.
Okay.
Because Ezra was buying a lot of like toys. But my thing is, I do the same thing, and you had mentioned you collect toys, stuff like that, and I feel like that's going to be used against them. Because that's actually something I've expressed interest in plenty of times, and it's something that me and Ezra have in common. It's another thing I won't really get into, but that's just a thing that was also mentioned, I say in like the text, that not to Chase, but discussing with Mia that led me to reach out to Chase.
Okay.
But I didn't send that to him because I was just like, that's not really weird at all, to be honest.
Yeah, well, there's a couple parts of that, right? And I'm just messaging my mods, telling them that they don't have to. Again, uh, everybody doesn't have to get mad at me. Like if somebody's getting timed out in the chat, I'm not trying to manage the chat right now. I'm trying to have a conversation with this, and so I have instructed my mods to make sure that nothing derogatory is said, that like there's no attacks or just like coming after me, coming after Vintage, saying negative, not necessarily negative things, but saying attacking things about Ezra, or opposite actually, but that we keep this to be civilized, because this is not, I don't want this to be a just a free for all where just people are just lobbing accusations that they have no idea about, and so I was just messaging some of my mods saying, like, I know there's some things with RJ. RJ and I are good. I know we had a very public Twitter back and forth the other day, but we have talked, so we don't have to we don't have to time out RJ on everything that he says. Like I actually want those comments. But you bring up a really good point, right? Because, like, for example, Saturday, I had been doing some substitute teaching for the end of the year, right? For the last month or so at the end of the year. And I plan on going back and doing that again in the fall. And I had a wonderful time because I love working with kids. I'm part of an organization called the Optimist International, and it's an organization that works with kids through mentoring programs and through scholarship programs, and we do things in the community. We do projects with the community, and like, so, like, I'm aware that, like, adults, like, we work alongside kids and teens all the time. Like we have them come in, they do speeches for us. We have them write essays for us. We give out scholarships. We do projects together where we do cleanup projects, or we, have them involved in different things. And I've worked with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Flint, where I'm at, for years and years and years. And in there, they got music projects that I've worked with. I've gone and played Santa, for God's sake, like for some of these kids. I helped Santa, with some of those things, everybody's not some pervert. Okay. Like, everybody doesn't have some negative thing. I agree. Absolutely. We have to be on the lookout for those things, but everybody is not that. And even Saturday, one of the teachers, that, teaches at the school that I've been at, she came over, brought her family. And one of the reasons why I love having a toy room, and people look at my whole house is like this, but this is like the main toy room, right? And so when I open that door back there and kids see this room for the first time, it was the same thing that they did, that they always do. When I open this door on Saturday and I let those kids in, they just go, and they look around and they're like, they're not expecting this, because it just goes all the way around. And, but it's something cool. And I love talking to kids about, like, what kind of things what kind of things they enjoy, And so, yeah, I collect toys. I didn't set out to be that guy. It's just part of my, I don't know, my history, my childhood, things like that, but there's that aspect. There's the musical aspect, like going to shows, for example, there's been a lot, Vintage, about, taking Takata. Maybe you can speak to this. I don't know if you have personal information, but like the thing of Takata going to, like, all ages groups before she was 18, all ages clubs, and watching bands and stuff like that. I went to all ages clubs, and I played in all ages clubs from the time I was 17, through all my 20s and stuff. Can you speak maybe something like, yeah, because you were talking about, like, that's kind of what got you in this, because, like, you guys had similar interests, toys, whatever. I'm guessing music, like, have you been around that kind of stuff?
Been around, like, all ages clubs?
Yeah, stuff like that. Can you speak a little bit about that, maybe? I don't know.
Not really.
Okay.
I was way more sheltered. I seriously did not leave the house.
Gotcha. Well, I was just curious because I know that Ezra is a musician.
Mm-hmm.
and he goes a lot of places and plays, and a lot of bars like up until like 9 o'clock p.m. in a lot of places, young people can be in there. You know, I mean, it's not that they're going to get served necessarily. You know,
What, well, when it comes to Ezra, what I've noticed over the years is most of their shows were 21 and up.
okay,
It didn't really get like ages 18 and under allowed up until I think 2018. That's
okay,
because people were complaining that, most of their fans were younger.
mm.
So they were complaining on their Instagram at the time when they were Sons of Illustrious Father. But most of their shows, yeah, were 21 and up. Because there was always alcohol. I was always drinking. I mean, when the times I went, I drank. But I've noticed as a fan back then, like what I would see was always like bars.
I think this is a legitimate question. Maybe, how old were you when you became friends with Ezra?
When I met Ezra,
I guess, yeah,
how old was I? 22.
22. Okay, so you were an adult. I think that was the question that they were getting to here. You know,
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
people are wondering if
I
he
came
has
out there on
relationships
my
with a
own.
bunch of young people. You know, I mean, would you know? It's interesting that you say that most of the shows that he did was 21 and over until 2018. So I mean, I guess that's another question for you. In your experience, have you seen Ezra, you know, just kind of hanging out with a bunch of underage people, or is it mostly adults? You know, and like, what are the different scenarios if you see him in either situation?
For the most part, I've seen parents with the kids. I haven't really seen like uh, Ezra just hanging out with minors.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, definitely. I
That
played
that's
on also proving that if because I remember like the posts on Tumblr and whatnot. Like there's quite a few people that I recall back then that were like probably like 16, 17 that met Ezra, but they were also like chaperoned. It had to be because I think in order to get into some places you have to have an adult.
yeah.
And for the most part, fans met Ezra at these shows or like at premieres and stuff like that. So
Okay. No, I think that's a really important point, because I think that one of the things that people are trying to establish is that like Ezra has these improper relationships with kids, basically.
yeah, I don't know where that's coming from to be honest. I've out of all my years of like hating Ezra and trying to get dirt on Ezra, I never got anything like that. And one
Okay.
time I did, it was like a setup. Like he was just like saying like, "Why is Ezra at a roller rink or whatever at South Dakota?" And then there was family that there was what Einar's family was there, and that's when James was like trying to set me up, saying like he would let Ezra assault him and asking me about Shailene.
That's another weird kind of thing. Now, who is that now?
James Iron Eyes is related to Chase. I'm not too sure like what the exact relation is, but when I tried to confront him and also get more information, he blocked me on Facebook. So
Okay. But yeah, there were some weird comments I know from that about. It seemed like there was a kind of like an obsession, you know, with Ezra. Do you find that people like around Ezra are, this is the impression that I get. And I understand it's kind of weird because there's a lot of these little detail things that I feel like I kind of have an understanding of because of my upbringing. Okay. Uh, I saw a lot of obsessed people, like
mhm.
with somebody that they think is like popular or whatnot. I mean, my family traveled a lot when I was young, and leading, that's what led me to playing in my first bands, right? Was I had a musical upbringing. I recorded like really young at the age of 12, and I performed, and all these things. Uh and so there were always like these obsessive people, right? Like,
Mhm.
ironically, Vintage, when I was about 15, I had a situation with a Native American family. I'm originally from Las Vegas. There was a Native American family who had traveled to Las Vegas from Oklahoma, and they were telling people literally that they had like that I had been part of some ceremony that was promising me to their 9-year-old daughter when she turned 18. Right. So it was like this weird obsession thing. Like I finally had to put my foot down because like it was people that we were just nice to, and would always come out and support us.
Hmm.
But then I was going to hang out with some people who were my own age, and these people received an anonymous phone call um, stating that it was not in their best interest to have me over to their house because this was a female and they didn't like the idea of me going over to a female's house. And they were obsessed with me to the point where they were like telling people that there was like this weird ceremony that in our church out there, which never happened. None of that ever happened. And this poor girl's mom wouldn't believe me. I had to get my grandma on the phone. I mean, it was a nightmare. But do you find that people are kind of obsessed around Ezra, and do you think that that's just the normal obsession, or do you think that he plays into that? Like what are
Oh
your thoughts?
no, these people are obsessed. I've seen obsession. Yeah, there's I in my experience with this fandom, yeah, there's some obsessed people, definitely. I've seen that people tend to become obsessed with Ezra, and kind of like put him on a pedestal and idolize him, or like obsessed to the point where they are kind of like gross and overly sexual anytime like Ezra's even mentioned or even around, anything like that. I've seen it for years. Definitely, yeah. Whew.
Hmm.
I've seen things.
Really? Okay. 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 Well, somebody said in the chat, like, I feel like I'm listening to stuff that I'm not supposed to know. Uh, listen, I get, that's actually what I've been saying. A lot of is like, a lot of this is like, let it come out in the court case, right? And what is what is. What needs to be talked about will be talked about. And, like, it's not for all of us to know, you know, I'm actually glad that you came out with your information because I think that that's important information that obviously if you started that, it's important, right? That the opposite comes out. And of course, there's going to be people who believe you, Vintage, and there's going to be people who don't believe you.
Hmm. Yeah, of course. It's always been that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything about that, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that there's like parts of this that's like we don't have to know everything. Things that went on in Hawaii with Ezra's personal life and stuff. Stuff like all over Reddit. You know,
Oh yeah.
all over social media, getting statements about stuff.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If people knew the actual Hawaii stuff, man. I can't speak on it. I really can't, but I'm just saying like um Ezra might be going through things or have their own situation, but the woman beating allegations, stuff like that. What? No.
Really? So let's make that clear then. So you're saying that as far as like the assault information and stuff like of him being aggressive towards women like that, assaulting women and stuff like that, you're saying that that's not the case.
No, I have no proof of that. And for the people that came forward with their stories about, their relationship with Ezra, they also said that there was never any threats of violence or any physical violence like that. So, yeah, it's just, I feel like people are speculating that off of the choking incident and are running with that and have painted them in a light of, being this aggressive person towards women. And that kind of stuff, yeah, it takes a toll. I'm just saying. Yeah. So if you keep being painted, like the first time they got arrested, people were like saying like, oh my God, look, like the woman choker is going crazy. I've seen the tweets and stuff like that ever since the choking came out. Like Ezra wearing a choker, they called them the choker, stuff like that. Like seeing this kind of stuff. And then they get arrested and next thing you know, they're bringing that back out. It's just like, that takes a toll, huge toll. And it's not even, yeah, it's just ridiculous. That's all I say.
Now, do you feel, like I don't know how close you're personally right now, to Ezra, and I don't want to reveal anything that you don't, feel comfortable revealing. But I mean, like, how do you have any opinions about the current mental state that's going on with Ezra, and all these allegations and all these, because people are calling for him, like, just saying, well, he just needs to come out and say something, right? And do you think that that'd be a good thing for him to say something, or do you think that he should stay quiet? I know, I feel like my personal opinion. I'll just tell you my personal opinion. You can tell me yours. My personal opinion is that, with all these allegations, I think that it's important to stay quiet. It's not up to them to prove innocence, except for if it goes to a court. You know,
Right.
I think coming out and making a statement might make it worse, because people are. I mean, look what happened when Dakota came out. When Gibson came out. Last week.
Right.
What did you think of that video?
Oh my God, they seem fine to me. I talk the same way where I look away. I don't make eye contact like that, even if it's not eye contact. If it's in a camera, I don't. But people were just like, "Oh, it's our Kelly situation. Look at them looking away from the camera. Oh, they're being held hostage." I was like, "There's no way you cannot." Like, they're eradicating Gibson's voice so bad just because of what they've heard and seen in the media through TMZ and stuff like that. So it's like, no matter what, if the victim says like they're fine, or if the victim says like it's not what you think, like, they're not going to take it or believe it, because they want to see the negative side to things versus actually knowing like the truth, or seeing how they feel, what their experience is, or what they're going through. It's just automatically like, oh honey, you're being groomed. You'll see this in 10 years and you'll like, look back on it, or your parents just care about you, this, that, the other. But Gibson has clearly stated that the way their parents are acting is why they're, not talking or like being this way. And reading the article where they say like Gibson doesn't want to talk to their father, but they hug their mother, that to me is a sign, and it's showing some truth to what Gibson was saying in their posts. So I'm just like, I was heavily disappointed with the comments under that video. I really was. It was basically like not giving them a voice.
Well, and I feel like if Ezra himself even made a video at this point, just saying, hey, we're dealing with it, we're gonna do whatever. I feel like
It's gonna be the same.
Yeah, people would just tear that apart too.
Yeah, to shreds.
Yeah. Um.
And I
So
honestly, at one point, I did think that they should make a statement, but yeah, even just like doing what I'm trying to do and bring awareness to it, and people are like, I understand when people have questions, people can combat it. I'll provide as much proof as I can, or like speak on what I know. But it's just like, at this point, they're just going to eat up what the tabloids and what the media is telling them, or what, the main side, like the parent side, just because, people do have this stigma sometimes that, well, the parents is always right. They know what's best for their child, but it seems like their child is not happy with how they're being treated by their parents. So it's just like, people automatically want to believe like the older person because of, I guess, life experience and stuff like that. But we were all 18 at one point as well. We all kind of like tried to do our own thing and branch away from our parents at one point. I'm pretty sure we all had experiences with, well, at least, in my experience, when I went away to college, I was definitely like taking LSD. I was definitely drinking a lot. I was definitely partying. That's just the culture of it.
sure.
And I think, when their parents saw that, it was like, I can't believe my child is doing this. There's no way they would. So they find somebody to blame, like a scapegoat. And I think that's where the situation ultimately headed when they couldn't get Gibson back because they didn't want to go back.
I can see that, because it's a hard thing for parents to let go, especially if they see their kids making what they feel are
Bad choices.
Bad choices.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I've told a lot of people this, just in what I do as a pastor, right? I've seen this many times with parents talking about their children, when they turn 18 or if they move out or whatever, and I just tell them the same thing. Like, I get it. It sucks. If your child's in danger, even if they're 18, do what you can to help them. to get them help. If they're really in danger, if there's really something going on, get them the help that they need. But at the end of the day, they still have to want that help, because they're adults. My mom was a horribly rebellious kid, took all kinds of crazy drugs, did all kinds of weird things. And that's why my grandma ended up raising me and my two sisters, Vintage. And so, but my grandma would do everything she could to help my mom. Plus, my mom had mental issues. She was diagnosed paranoid, schizophrenic, manic depressive, bipolar, whatnot. But at the end of the day, like my mom would sign herself into a psych ward, for example, for some help. But the minute she started feeling better, she'd sign herself out because she's an adult, and that's how that works. Same thing with drugs. Like, I don't think that drugs are a good thing. I don't feel like that it's just something that
You can use as an escape. Yeah,
yeah,
you can have issues with it. Yeah, of course.
yeah. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing with drugs, alcohol, just bad decisions in general. People make those decisions, and that's the interesting thing is they're adults. They can make those decisions. And once your child is an adult, it's a hard transition for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I just tell people, look, you just at that point, you got to hope that you instilled enough in your children growing up that
For
they
them
know
to learn.
for them to learn that they know that you're there for them, right? That they know that you're there for them and that you know that they care, right? And then just be there for them when you know when at the end of the day, like if you disagree with some of the choices your kids make, you just got to be there for them. If you disagree with their sexual orientation or whatever, like I run into a lot of people like that, who like they're facing that because maybe their religious background says that this is wrong, or they don't want that. And I just tell them, like, look, love your kids regardless of if they make choices that you appreciate or agree with. They're still your kids. Love your kids, and there's no other way to put that. Let's see. There was a question here that I had. Let's see. Oh, somebody said this involves the Sui tribe, different circumstances. I don't know what the Claire. I don't know what your
Yeah, clarify that.
yeah
Claire.
yeah clarify that exactly. I mean, if you mean like regarding children and parents and things like that, I understand that, but the greater thing is though is once Gibson moves out of that environment, the United States allows for the fact that they're free to do what they want at the end of the day. I understand that there are those things that are
and that's why the conservatorship is taking place there and not
Can you talk a little bit about the conservatorship part of this? Because I don't think a lot of people understand like what they're trying to do and like what that's about.
They're trying to make Gibson seem so incredibly unstable that they cannot take care of themselves. So they're trying to get guardianship over them and what they do. Traces.
And you mentioned that there was money involved in this. So where's?
I'm pretty sure it's also he would be in control of their assets and stuff like that.
Okay. And I want to clarify something here, Chester. I was talking about people. They look at that as I understand what you're saying. I understand. I prefaced this earlier by saying, look, we're going to have moments in this conversation because we're dealing with someone who has transitioned or is transitioning or is I guess what is Gibson consider themselves non-binary. I think so. Look, there's going to be times where we accidentally call them he or she or whatever. Like we're not making statements here about those things. I'm not making a statement that being gay is a choice. I'm making the statement that parents look at that as choices their children make or decisions that they come to in their life, right? And at the end of the day, like I get what you're saying about it being a choice, but at the end of the day, also, like those are decisions, right, that you come to in your life. If somebody feels that they were born female and that they're male, that's a decision that they come to in their life. Their parents may not look at it. I wasn't making a statement, so I want to clarify that. You're responding. Oh, okay. That's fine. That's fine. I see things sometimes in the chat, and look, yeah. I just want to make sure that I address that because that came up, and I realized that I may have called it a choice. So, so no worries on that. I just wanted to clear that up just in case somebody did question that of what I said. Um, yeah, well, and Claire, yeah, Claire here says the clarifying what Claire said,
Y-
expectations from their children, and they have their own courts.
Yes, they definitely have their own courts, and that to me is also. I feel like wouldn't that be a conflict of interest if Chase is an attorney? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I don't know how deep that runs, and I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with everybody here. I don't know exactly how, say, a Native American court system correlates to a United States court system, because my assumption would be that and this is purely speculation on my point because I just don't know. I mean, if I had to assume, I would think that if Gibson leaves their tribe and leaves the jurisdiction of that oversight, that if Gibson is a United States citizen, that they have all of the freedoms and the things that go along with that.
Right.
As far as being controlled by any other entity. So I could be completely wrong with that because I don't know how that works. That is purely my speculation.
That's
Um,
interesting. I'll look into that actually.
yeah, no, that's something actually now I actually want to see uh,
It's
if that
doable. Yeah.
yeah if that is something that they would hold um, uh, you know together. Um, some so just to kind of recap that, do you feel, because Triton brought this up again, he says, wait, correct me if I missed something, but someone is seriously blaming Ezra for their kid now being part of the LGBTQ community. Do you feel that that's the overlying issue here?
Yeah, because if you read on their last Indian article that they posted, they mentioned that the they, them, and Gibson was something through Ezra. And I was just like, wait, but I saw this in 2021. I'm pretty sure that was on their own accord.
Okay.
But yeah, it stated in that article that um, they were saying how Takata could speak for themselves on that or something like that, and that it was like something Ezra was pushing.
Like Ezra was trying to push that on Gibson.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I don't know how old Gibson's parents are. Do you know about how old Chase is?
No, but I can find out.
Okay. I'm not aware of how old,
Yeah, he
my
has to be in his 40s. I think he's in his 40s.
okay. I mean, being 45 myself, I know that there are people my age who would consider that that's why I asked you the question of, like, do you feel that they have a problem in general with people of the LGBTQ, or if it was more like because it hits home, you
I
know?
think it's more so it hits home. It's not
Yeah.
something they anticipated or wanted, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue with a lot of people, right? Is that sometimes they're fine outwardly, you know,
Mhm.
to support
Others,
certain
right?
ideas and things, but when it comes home and it hits home for them, they're a lot more protective,
Yeah.
and some of that comes out. Um, so, again, I always tell people, uh, love your family, love your friends, whoever they are,
And my thing is,
just
they also mentioned in this article that it is something that they would call like friends, family, and pets was Gibson prior. So it's just like, now how is it coming through being forced? I'm not getting that, but yeah.
hmm, that's interesting.
I really dissected the hell out of that thing. I'm telling you, like, there's so many holes in it. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense to me. It's
Wow.
going through tribal courts.
Yeah. So RJ here brings up, says, is this going to normal court system or the tribal courts? I'm pretty sure this is going to the tribal courts.
Yeah, tribal.
So again, this will be interesting to see because it's dealing with a tribal thing versus somebody who's not part of that. I don't know. I don't know then, like, I honestly just don't know how that's translated, you know? Um, but okay, somebody says here, Claire says that Chase is 44. Okay. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Here you said 51. Hold on. It was like 44. Okay. So we'll take it somewhere between there. And look, for anybody saying, like, I saw a comment earlier, like, why is she laughing? Listen, it's absolutely a serious thing, but we're not just going to be here for an hour or two going, like acting like there's no levity to the situation. I mean, how would you respond to somebody, Vintage, who says, you've laughed about a couple of things, you're still trying to keep up.
First and foremost, I have anxiety, bro. So yeah, I'm a little anxious.
Yeah, no, that's, hey, that's, I mean, I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean, that's how I felt about it. I mean,
Yeah, like what the heck? Are you really dissecting?
Curious One says, is the real reason you have not gone to the police is you are afraid of being charged for defamation or slander?
No, I've already stated the real reason, and it's because it wasn't a thought in my head up until somebody brought it up. I actually fully plan on doing it now, so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Curious One, she, she said that she's going to do that, and and I told her we'll help her, any step along the way, because she said that was the first time, it's come up, so I think that's good that we can. I think it's good that we can have conversations, because out of conversations come ideas, right? And out of those ideas, it can help along the way to, bring about truth, and that's what we want above all. Even in inviting Vintage here today, like I said, I didn't invite her here today as a thing that this is the definitive, like, 100%. Like I said, I've never talked to Vintage before. I don't know her outside of our conversation today. But she had a story to tell, and she's connected to this, obviously. And I think that it's important to hear people out and hear people's here. Yeah. Laser Luke, it wouldn't be the first time a tabloid like TMZ has lied.
Yeah, for real though.
I mean, and TMZ doesn't really have a great track record. Let's be honest, right?
Hell no. That's the part that was, like, really funny to me. Why would you go to TMZ with this first, but then publish your own article leaving out things that you didn't say to TMZ?
Yeah.
TMZ of all places, really. And TMZ so graciously edited the arrest video with Ezra, not showing the guy that was threatening Ezra at the beginning. So, they have their own agenda.
Yeah. Steve, Steve, you brought up a couple times, like, why I've been involved, like, why would I get involved? Because we are a YouTube channel. We have a platform. We talk about current events. We talk about, like, I don't feel like I have to defend my talking about things like this, because this is obviously something that's been very important in entertainment news now for a few months. And people started connecting me to it because I had conversations with Ezra before this started happening. I mean, so I get it if people are coming in later to the conversation and they don't understand, But that was the comment earlier from Steven. I did see your comment that why is Enosh getting involved in this? Because we report things, and if we have opportunity to speak to people directly, part of it, we should absolutely take those opportunities. I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't. That's I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But Steve here, I'll read your comment. It says, so we are supposed to believe the words of an individual that can make her way to popular streams, but not to the police. Credibility is in shambles here. I'll take that. dude, you don't have to believe her. She's not telling you that you have to believe her. She's come forward on Instagram last week, and I mean, like, I want to make clear, she wasn't busting down my door to come on the channel, okay? And neither was I trying to bust down her door, to force her to come on the channel. It was nothing like that. I know that she was talking with a couple of people. She was having private conversations with people. And she has been directed to certain people who happen to have channels. And one was a couple of nights ago on KDOTS, and you were able to go on there, go over some of the things there. And then, Saggy kind of directed you to me. And then there was somebody else who kind of directed you to me. And so,
yeah, you were mentioned quite a few times, actually.
So, so I was absolutely more than happy to have that conversation with you, Vintage.
Yeah. I feel like it's still important no matter what. Like, no matter what my first move was, it still needs to get out there. So,
yeah. And look, regardless of at the end of the day, I will just say this: like, if everything that Vintage has said is like fabricated or a lie, okay, even if that were true, at the end of the day, like, you don't have to believe her, you don't have to agree with her, you don't have to think that she's telling the truth, but time will tell. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've said since the beginning. The more information that comes out, whatever that does come out, or when the court case actually happens, we'll get decisions. We may not know everything that we want to know even then. But look, if somebody's willing to come and talk to us about it, I don't think that's a I don't understand why that's a thing. Like why we would want to have a conversation with you. That's
yeah.
Look, I appreciate the conversation, Vintage, and I know that it's probably got to be hard for you to do that because you're taking a huge hit here with what you did.
Yeah. I would not be doing this for popularity. It's actually the last thing I kind of wanted. I actually was leaving social media, but upon my own discovery of my fuck-uppery, I had to take accountability, It's just the adult thing to do. So yeah. I wasn't going to sit here and watch something happen when I know it's not the truth, or there's pieces missing that needs to be connected, because it's also taking a toll on other parties involved. And I don't want to see somebody get hurt. So,
hey, curious one, I'll answer this. None of the people suggested she visit the police. So she's already stated that. She's already literally stated that, man. You're asking rhetorical questions, but they all recommended YouTube. I don't think anybody recommended YouTube. I didn't recommend YouTube to her. I don't think that the people around her recommended YouTube. She talked to a couple of people who had an outlet that were willing to have her talk about her experience, and that's what we did today. And as far as this, we've already established, that she's going to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's the last I think that we need to hear of that line of questioning, because she's already established that. Can I bring up something too? I know a lot of the people that you talk to, and again, this is not a slam on them, but a lot of the people you talk to have been young people who maybe just honestly haven't thought of that direction. A lot of people want to hear what you have to say, but not necessarily be thinking in that direction of to even think, hey, have you gone to the police? Have you gone to
right
to the authorities with that? So that's nothing on them. Trust me. You could tell me, Vintage. With something like going on this, I'm sure you got a lot of stuff swirling around you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Have you had people reach out to you that you've just been no, just people who are trying to get something out of you, or?
Yeah. There's not really been so much negative stuff. A lot of people have been asking me for my side of the story, and I have freely told them what I have to say, but nobody's suggested the court or the police, because they just really want to hear it and get more information. I haven't received any counseling on anything legal.
Yeah. So, well, then I think that that's a great place for you to start because we have some time until the everything comes to.
Absolutely. Got to make a move now.
So I guess we've taken almost 2 hours now, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you feel is important to your story, or you feel is important to this story, this information that you feel people need to know?
At this very moment, no. I feel like this is a very good talk.
Good, good. Well, I want to provide a safe place for people to be able to come and state their opinions, and I do try to do. I know not everybody thinks that all the time because it's the internet, but the reality is that is what we've created here is a place we say for nerds, but for all people to be able to come and be heard and have a discussion. I'm guilty of it sometimes. I get emotional about certain topics and certain things, and we can get upset, we can get frustrated. But even with people that I've had disagreements with, at the end of the day, we try to bring it around, at least come to some kind of conclusion. And so I hope for you. Do you feel that you've learned something through this experience?
Definitely 1,000%. Yeah, I need to stop being, I guess, I feel like this goes for a lot of people as well. We should get the facts first or get proof before we jump to conclusions on things. Because even just spreading the smallest details, it will blow up in your face like this, or it will ruin somebody else. And yeah, it just doesn't sit good on your conscience at all. Unless you're truly that messed up of a person. And I don't think I am, and I don't want to be. So yeah.
Good. Well, I hope that that you have, learned that from this, and obviously, the difference between like when you're upset, don't just try to go after somebody,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, whatever that person meant in your life, it doesn't help,
No, absolutely not.
and it can obviously cause a lot more issue in the end. Were you surprised how much this blew up?
Yeah. Yes. I woke up one day to this and I was just like, oh shit. Here we go.
Did you have a conversation with anybody around you about it? Say like, oh my God, this thing blew up and now I'm, nobody knows I helped create this, but what do I do? I mean, we saw in the text, right, that you're like, how do I take care of this? But But like, yeah, I mean, did you have that conversation with anybody?
No, that was actually the part where I realized I was like, yeah, it was me. I mean, I've always had a hunch it was me. I've always had a hunch because I was telling people like, I think I'm the one that started the grooming thing because I also tweeted about it because I was just like, yeah, I was trying to be malicious and get people to listen to me. And I deleted those. I retracted my statement, and then this continued to happen. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely the source of this. I'm going to be used as a source of this. And I don't actually have the proof of it. So,
yeah. Well, again, I want to thank Vintage. I want to thank the chat even. Look, I know some of you are upset that some people got timed out. I didn't time you out. I want to thank my mods though for doing the best that they can to look at the statements being made and try to make the best decision that they can. That's all I can say about that. We try our best around here, but we're not perfect, and it is what it is. So I apologize if you felt that you were in the chat today and you were not heard. And we can always try to do better. But I do want to say that for the most part, what I've seen, I didn't really see any really destructive things come through, and I'm happy for that. And I hope people watching this video after the fact, if you leave a comment, that it's constructive. And so we're going to do our best to help Vintage with whatever she needs to do of getting the information to the proper people. And I'm glad that that's something that, you know, may have possibly come out from this conversation, is that we can do that. But thank you, Vintage. I'll tell you, stick around for just a minute after the outro plays, so that we can just chat for a second. But
Yeah.
But thank you. I appreciate you
No
coming
problem.
forward, and I hope the best for you. I hope that like I said, that you're able to move on from here. Think about the future, you know, experiences that you have and the relationships that you have, and you know, and how that correlates with information that you share. And I think it's good for us all, when we're angry, to take a step back, take a deep breath, and think about what we're doing before we act. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. But yeah, stuff can definitely blow up. So thank you everyone in the chat. Thanks to everybody watching. Appreciate you all. I hope the best for all of you. And I thank you for being here today, and for taking the time to listen. Like I always say, don't let anybody tell you that your fandom, or that your opinions, or you know, what's going on with you, that it doesn't matter. All right. And don't tell anybody else that what they're going through, or their fandom, or whatever, doesn't matter either. But seek to have good conversations, because like I said earlier, from good conversations come good ideas, and from those ideas, change can come about. All right. And if you do that, there'll always be a place for you here in the Poindexter Lounge. Until next time, stay nerdy and be good to each other.